welcome. Okay, and I really want to let you all know that you have already completed PSLE. Really good job to you, and also the parents. Okay, your involvement has really made your child's journey like so much easier, lah. Okay, it's really not easy. PSLE is one of the big hurdle when your child is still young. Of course, the next hurdle definitely is going to be O levels, right? Okay, so there's many changes that's going to happen in the upcoming years. Okay, so we'll be sharing with you as well. Okay, so I'll start right now. Okay. Okay, so this is the overview for the science portion. Okay, I'll give you my agenda. First, I'm going to talk about a bit about secondary science. Then I'll share with you some key differences between primary and secondary school. Then I'll also talk about the O level and IP, which actually a lot of parents are interested in. Okay, as well as the IB syllabus. Then lastly, what are some things you can do maybe between now until the secondary school academic year starts? Okay, how we bridge the gap for your child. Okay, so overview. Okay, so in the past, right, before 2023, okay, this is how your academic journey will be. After you finish PSLE, right, so you can enter a few streams. Okay, you can go into the IP program, you can IP stream, you can go to the secondary express stream, you can go to the normal acad stream, and also the normal technical stream. Okay, so this is back in the past. Starting from last year, 2024, a lot of things have changed, right? So the full subject-based banding has started in 2024. So now your express, your normal CAD, your normal tech, everything has been abolished, okay, and replaced with G1, G2, and G3, okay, as you all know. So right now, a student, right, you can have your own unique subject combinations at the G1 all the way to G3 levels based on your results in PSLE, okay, for each of your subject. Okay, so one of the main reasons why MOE do this is to abolish the streaming, okay, and to remove any stigma. Because in the past, back in my time and also back in your time, I'm pretty sure you always hear, normal acad, it means you lousy. Express means you good, and stuff like that. So we don't want to coin students like, oh, you're a normal acad student, oh, you're a normal technical student, oh, you're an express student. They want to remove all this stigma, which is why they implement G1, G2, G3. Okay. So one very important thing you need to understand is this thing called the posting group. Okay, and posting group is determined by your child's PSLE score. So if you score between PSLE AL score of 4 to 20, okay, you'll be under posting group 3. So when you enter secondary school, most of your subjects, okay, majority of them, you will be under G3 posting, and most of your subjects will be at the G3 level. Okay, so if you really find G3 very, very hard to understand, you can still think of G3 as express, right? So then, for those people who score a PSLE score of 21 and above, okay, if you are between 21 and 22, you have a choice to be in G2 or G3. It's up to you, okay? But the moment you are 23 and above, you will be in the posting group 2 or posting group 1. Okay, so this is the data, and this data can be found on the MOU website as well. Okay, so to make you understand better, we can go with a specific example here. So we have a student called John Lim, right? So John Lim, his overall achievement level, his score is 16, okay? And this is his breakdown for his subjects, whereby English, wow, not bad, AL2, okay? Math, not very good, he got AL6. Chinese AL5 and Science AL3, okay? And when he enters secondary school, right? Okay, wait, first thing first. So just now I mentioned that if you got between score 1 to 20, right? 4 to 20, you'll be entering the posting group 3. Therefore, majority of the subjects will be G3, okay? So if you look at John, when he enters school XYZ as a posting group 3 student, the following subjects that you'll be having will be English at G3 level, Math at G2 level, and the rest will be at G3 level, okay? The reason why his math is in G2 level is because his PSLE math didn't do very well, okay? If you got AL6, AL7, or AL8 for your any subject, your PSLE subject, you'll be basically getting G2 or G1, okay? So if you have AL5 AL4, AL3, AL2, AL1. Then when you go to secondary 1, your subject will be at the G3 level. And so you need to understand how the G3 and G2 works. This is how they determine whether you take G2 or G3. Okay, then of course some questions will be, so my math is G2, is it forever G2? No, don't worry, okay? So apparently, right, what we learned so far is every year, right, your son, your child, your daughter, whoever, you'll have a chance to upgrade to G3, and you also have a chance to downgrade to G2, depending on your academic performance. Okay, but of course, different schools, they have different criteria. And it doesn't mean that you can only promote from G2 to G3. If you are doing poorly, right, you can actually drop from G3 to G2. Okay. So as I go on, I will just go on, right? So if you have questions, please feel free to ask, right? Okay. So in general, right? If you look at some of the examples here, okay, you have Elena, you have Tim, and you have Hannah. Okay, all of them, they have different kind of posting groups. So Elena is posted to G3, Tim is posted to posting group 2, and Hannah is posted to posting group 1. Okay. However, regardless of whether or not they are in which posting group, there's a chance that all of them can be in the same class. Because right now, the class system, right, is a mixed form class system whereby in a certain class, every student can be having different kinds of subject combination, right? Yeah. So there will no longer be, oh, this class is an express class. Oh, this class is a normal acad class. Don't have no such thing anymore, right? You will be having a mix of students from all different posting groups. Yeah, that's what's happening in school nowadays, right? Then the next thing you need to take note is this, okay? Starting from last year, right? The Cambridge O-level has been changed, okay, to a Singapore-based exam. And this exam now is called the SEC exam, Singapore Cambridge Secondary Education Certificate. Okay, so this SEC exam is mainly coordinated by the Singapore and Cambridge collaboration. So it's going to be more localized. Okay, the syllabus is going to be more localized. Okay, but one thing to take note is the pathway post-secondary school, right? Because if you look at the orange lines for Alina over here, okay, can you see Alina here? Alina has six G3 subjects and 1 G2 subjects, okay? Her available pathways post-secondary school is she can either enter JC, she can enter Poly, she can enter the Poly Foundation program, she can also go into higher NITEC. Basically, as a student in posting group 3, you have the most available amount of options. Okay, but when you are in posting group 2, which is represented by the blue lines over here, okay, you can only go Poly Foundation program or NITEC and higher NITEC. Okay, then G1 wise, the only pathway you can go is the 3-year higher NITEC program. Okay, that being said, okay, it also means that it is actually harder to enter Poly. What you all need to understand is right now it's harder to enter Poly. Why? Because right in the past, right, if you are a NA student, okay, it's still considerably easy for you to enter Poly. But even if right now you are in the posting group 2, it's hard for you to enter the Poly year 1. If you're in posting group 2 and you do not have enough G3 subjects, right, you cannot enter Poly year 1. You have to go through their PFP program, the Poly Foundation program, which is a longer program whereby you need additional 1 year plus to study the foundation before you can officially enter Poly. So basically, their academic journey will be slightly longer. Okay, yeah. Okay, so now key difference between primary and secondary science. Okay, I think this is what everybody is interested in. So over here, you will see that I have highlighted some of the topics here. These topics are considerably the harder topics in secondary 1, okay, because mainly they are taught at a higher level and they are quite different from what they have learned in primary school. Okay, so in the secondary science, there's mainly 4 distinct themes here. We have diversity, we have interactions, we have models, and we have systems. Okay, so like for example, your exploring diversity of matter by its chemical composition is mainly about your element compound mixtures and stuff like that. And this idea of element compound mixture, atoms and molecules is actually very foreign to a lot of P6 students, and students do find a bit of a challenge to understand them when they're first introduced to it. Okay, then of course, one of the more difficult topics in secondary one, I would really say, is ray model of light. Okay, this light here is very in-depth and is totally different from what they need to know for primary school. Okay, it's quite different. Yeah, you have to draw ray diagrams and stuff like that. So it can be a bit challenging. Yeah. So these are the main themes in secondary school. Okay. So I will zoom in into cells to show you the difference between primary school and secondary school. Okay, because primary school right now they got learn cells, right? So secondary school also got cells. Okay, so in primary level, right, in terms of cells, right, all they need to do is what? Identify cell parts, okay? Identify the functions, right? Remember, memorize the function. Understand the difference between plant and animal cells, okay? And also maybe to know a bit about cell division, okay? At the secondary school level, you have more cell parts to remember, like for example, your vacuole and mitochondria, okay? You need to learn to describe the steps to use a microscope and also remember the function and parts of a microscope. Okay, you also need to understand that models are just generic models used to represent many various forms of cell. Okay, so you will start to see a lot of 2D models of cells, different kinds of cell, not just the usual diagrams that you see in primary school. Okay, then of course, next, you also need to further classify and identify the differences between plants and animal cells from microscopic cell images. Okay, and there's a few new things here, which is, for example, number one, division of labor. Why is it important? And different levels of organization in multicellular organisms. Okay, and lastly, we need to learn about specialized cells. Okay, specifically like your red blood cell, your nerve cell, blood cell, muscle cell, gut cell, root hair cell. Why are they special? Why are they good at doing their job? How are they specialized? How have they adapted to be more efficient at their work? Okay, so basically there's more stuff. Okay, so example over here. Okay, we have a question regarding red blood cell. Okay, this question over here, they, of course, the first part, they still have definition questions, like for example, they'll ask you, hey, what is the function of the red blood cell? Okay, so you need to answer them. If you have memorized them, it'll be easy for you. Okay, so memory work is definitely one of them. Okay, then the second part is you have the question asked, okay, this patient is suffering from this disease and they usually do not have enough oxygen reaching their cells. Explain why this is so. Okay, in general, the answers that we're looking out for right now usually requires a lot of comparison. Okay, and you need to identify the change variable, and you need to be a bit more specific when you answer them. Okay, like for example, this leads to what, this leads to what, and stuff like that. Okay, in Blue3, to answer this kind of question, we do teach our students an answering technique called the ICE answering technique. Okay, which is identify concept tested, compare relevant evidence, and lastly, tell us what's the effect on the function. Yeah, so our practices in Blue3 will steer towards using the answering technique to solve all these open-ended questions and stuff like that. Okay, next, O-level IP. Okay, I'm sure a lot of people have questions to ask. Oh, should I put my son in IP? Oh, I want my son to be in IP. Oh, don't want IP, I want O-level. Okay, so difference. Of course, the first one is difficulty level, right? So IP questions require very deep analysis. They are very non-routine, and you will realize that a lot of times students have to learn a lot of topics in a very short amount of time. Okay, and one thing that a lot of IP schools like to do, I notice, is that self-reading, okay, self-learning. And in fact, you will not be you will be surprised. They will actually test certain things that they didn't even teach. Yeah, it's normal. It's normal. Okay. Then next, content coverage wise. Okay, your IP stream, right, will actually go one step further than the Express or the G3 stream in terms of the depth. They will cover additional formula and also bring in a lot of real world application. Okay. Curriculum structure wise, okay, at the end of the first 4 years, in general for science, right, the topics covered in both the G3 stream and the IP stream is about the same. Okay, but you realize IP stream, right, will actually bring down the Set 3, Set 4 topics and A-level concepts down into the earlier years. Okay, just to expose them to a higher level of thinking. Yeah, so this is quite normal also. So some of my Set 1 IP students are learning Set 3 stuff. It's normal. Yeah. Okay, resource availability wise, okay, what we realize is there is no one standardized IP resource, as really different schools have different IP syllabus structure. Okay, so a lot of times you want to buy assessment book, you want to know what IP class to sign up for, you really need to seek the school or the center's recommendation. Okay, yeah. Okay, so a sample example of an IP question, and this is also cells. Okay, just look at the amount of cell part that you need to learn for IP cells. It's easily 2 times more than what Express G3 student need to know. Okay, and the questions in general, right, they will give more scientific examples. Okay, like for example, your zebrafish model, they will give you some chemical names that you probably never seen before, but of course they will explain the function to you in the question. Yeah. So you can see the amount of thinking required is indeed higher. The requirement is higher. Okay. Okay. So there's over here I did a year 1 syllabus comparison. Okay, for the G3 science, IP science, and also SST science. Okay, so SST, as you all know, is School of Science and Technology. It is quite rigorous as well, I would say. Okay, if you just look at the year 1, this is what they learn in year 1. So for G3 students, they only got eight topics to learn in 1 year. Okay, the IP students, they learn up to 11 topics in 1 year. And SST, wow, I was very surprised when I found out. Yeah, actually they learn up to around 12 to 13 topics in a year. Yeah. So if you think about this, you can really feel that there's a big difference, the requirement wise. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'll leave this here for a while. If you want to take a screenshot, you can take a screenshot. All right, I'll take a picture. Okay, maybe when I'm letting you all take picture, maybe anybody got any questions you all like to ask first? Please feel free to write in the chat. Okay, we will entertain your questions. Okay, if no questions, then I move on. Okay. Okay, so pros and cons of IP. Okay, please, parents, right? Selecting an IP school or selecting an O-level stream, I think this one, right? I honestly want to say one thing. Entering O-levels or IP shouldn't solely be a decision made by parents. Okay, because this decision that you'll be making, right, will actually affect your child for the next 4 years or even up to the next 6 years. Okay, I prefer it to be a joint decision. So with that being said, I want to share some of the pros and cons of IP to everyone here. Okay, so let's talk about the pros here. Okay, so earlier inclusion of high level topics. So if you learn higher level topics at an earlier stage, it also means that you have more time to digest them. Okay, then of course one of the things that a lot of parents are looking out for is you want the child to skip O levels and so that they can go to A levels straight away. Okay, so skipping O levels is one of the pros of in the IP stream. Okay, next, in the IP stream you have a lot of non-academic emphasis. Okay, like for example, music, drama, PE, all these they are graded and you have to learn theories about them. Okay, it helps your child to explore more interests in non-academic areas. Okay, so it's good to a certain extent, right? There's a lot of project work whereby students are encouraged to work together in groups to come up with presentations, to come up with some models and stuff like that. Okay, and nearing their year 3, year 4 year, right, they will actually have a lot of support to help develop further their talents and their interests. And most importantly, they will even have industrial attachments for some school. That's the interesting part. Okay. Because this in general IP schools, right, they don't want to focus 100% on academics, right? So they do have a lot of student-led initiatives. You have many fun programs, sometimes a learning journey here, learning journey there, and stuff like that. Okay. Then okay, so that's the pros, right? Pros-wise, a lot of leadership opportunities. This is what I heard from a student. Okay, because they are actually in a kind of program whereby they really want to seek to help students to improve their professional skills, their soft skills and stuff like that. So they do have a lot of workshop as well to develop them further in terms of leadership, in terms of having some business mind and stuff like that. Okay. Okay. So I received a question regarding NUSH lah. So basically NUS High, right? NUS High, I would say its syllabus, right, is quite similar to IBIP. Okay, so they have is closer to IP compared to the G3 stream. Yeah. So you can take the IP stream as reference. Okay. Yeah. Okay, then now let's move on to the cons of IP. Okay, which I think this one I think it's quite important to know some of the cons of IP. Doesn't mean IP means good. Okay. So first, we really need to get it straight. IP is not suitable for everyone. Okay. And it also does not mean that your results is eligible for IP, means that you should go to the IP. Okay. Skipping O levels is a con as well. Why so? Because basically, O level is literally like a rehearsal for A levels, whereby you feel the exam stress, the drive to study before the exam and stuff like that. If you do not have this, okay, A levels is the only major exam you're going to have in 6 years' time. Okay, so some people feel that having more big exams can help to master their exam stamina and also their revision stamina as well. Okay, so another con of IP is really less structure in learning. Okay, it's really very open-ended and it's very exploratory in nature. Okay, students share with me, the current IP students that they share with me, they say that in general, right, lessons are not taught in class. Lessons are discussed in class. Meaning to say, a lot of times, right, the teachers will give the students materials whereby the students have to read and understand themselves at home first before they come to the lesson. Because during lesson, it is discussion, okay? And the teachers will facilitate the discussion, okay? Yeah. So you have to be very, very disciplined, okay, if you are in an IP school. If not, if you're not disciplined, you'll realize that you will start to lose momentum. And the thing is, when you lose momentum, a lot of things will start piling up and students find themselves very hard to catch up. Okay? Super stressful environment, okay? Because it's like you are supposed to, there's a lot of self-learning, okay? A lot of self-directed learning, okay? You need to be very good at managing your time, right? Every time when your momentum is lost, you need to try to get back yourself back on track, okay? As a 13-year-old, as a 14-year-old, sometimes they find this as a bit difficult, yeah. So, and it's not like they have a very good support system and stuff like that, okay? Sometimes teachers are not always available for consultation and stuff like that. Yeah. And a lot of times, right, students don't dare to ask questions. So in fact, sometimes they rather turn to Google or maybe just ask their other friends than go to teachers. Yeah. Because it's like peer pressure and stuff like that. Sometimes they ask questions, it means that they are stupid. Okay. It's common in school. It's common in school. Yeah. Okay. Lastly, okay, I think one of the biggest thing here is it's quite hard to find academic support. Okay. For example, you want to go and buy assessment book to help yourself, right? You also do not know exactly what assessment book to buy for IP school because different IP school have different IP syllabus. The IP assessment book may not even fit you. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So these are some pros and cons of IP. Yeah. Okay. So bridging the gap. Okay. So Blue3 over here, well, we are very proud of our own materials. Okay, our materials have went through 100% revamp. Okay, so these are just some of the pictures that some of the snippets of our notes and also our workbook. Okay, so you can see it's all quite colorful, and in general, all the information is condensed into tables and is well organized. Okay, this is our learning book. Okay, and we also have a workbook. Okay, our workbook here is split into 3 different segments over here. We have the foundation worksheet, we have the intermediate worksheet, and we have the advanced worksheet. Okay, so foundation worksheet, if you look at the question types, is in general a bit more interesting, okay, whereby we go with fill in the blanks, mix and match, crossword puzzle, okay, basically fun activities to help them to recall all the concepts and also what are some definitions that they need to memorize. Okay, so foundation worksheet usually comes straight after the lesson has been taught. The students will bring this foundation worksheet back home and to do for rapid recall, right? And while doing that, they can also refer to your notes. Okay. Then, of course, our intermediate worksheet is in general a worksheet that is more aligned to exam style. Okay, intermediate worksheet is more exam style, and then we have advanced worksheet, which takes the challenge one level higher. Okay, the advanced worksheet here is meant to be a bit more difficult. Okay, is if students want to challenge themselves, this worksheet will be good for them. Okay, there are some questions in the advanced worksheet whereby the teachers will also specifically emphasize on so that they can teach some of the concepts. Okay, our Blue3 Academy lessons here, we focus a lot on having hands-on experiment, okay, scaffolded learning strategies, and we instill a lot of eyes answering technique to our students. Okay, one reason why is because we realize that when you reach Sec 2, Sec 3, Sec 4, there's actually a lot of open-ended questions, and students always find themselves staring at the question and be like, wow, 4 blanks to write. What should I write? I don't know how to start, right? Their mind is just blank. So they need some structure and some skeleton to follow. Okay, so this eyes answering technique has been proven useful. Many students have been using it to help them structure and synthesize their answers. Okay, so over here at Blue3, we have regular G3 classes. Okay, we also have IP classes, termly revision assessments as well. Okay, and of course we have exam prep course. Okay, we have a MAP, something similar to primary school, right? And we always, actually, if you go follow our Instagram, we do have a lot of live teaching on Instagram, on TikTok, and we hold final revision course and webinars as well. Yeah. Okay, so wait, I see some questions. The slides, yeah, we can provide you the slides. Yeah, no worries. Okay, there's one question asking whether we need to identify unknown chemistry compounds in question. Depends. In the Sec 1, Sec 2 syllabus, there are a few compounds, right, whereby the students are required to know. Like, for example, the students have to know carbon dioxide is CO2, okay? These are the common ones, like water is H2O. They need to know that methane is CH4. So they are expected to know some common compounds and what is their chemical symbols and chemical formula. Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's a question from Rosanna. Maybe I can answer this question. Okay, the question here is, if my child is assigned G2 math or science, does it mean that Blue3 lessons is not catered to G2 level? Okay, so our mainstream classes, which is the normal classes, they are all at G3 level. So if your child was to be in G2 and they are coming for our classes, then the most important question to ask yourself is, what is the end goal for your child? Because this year we have quite a number of G2 math students as well. And they all came in, and when they first came in, we will tell the parents upfront, we will be teaching the G3 syllabus. That means there will be so most of the topics are the same, but it's how in depth we are teaching them. And most of the parents they want their child eventually to be in G3, which is why coming for the G3 lesson is good, because the easy part about getting to G3 is getting there. Okay, the tough part is actually how do you maintain after you go up from G2 to G3. So if a child was to be assigned G2 math or science, right, then I think the question is sending your child here, what is the end goal? Is the end goal helping a child to get into G3, which most of our students do eventually get to G3 within like their second WA, which is half year through the year. And most of them then go up to G3 level and continue to do well. So I think the really, really important question here to ask yourself is, uh, are you just looking for a G2 level tuition, or do you want your child to be in G3? So if your answer is the second, or if your purpose is the second one, then I think coming for our classes definitely help. But you can also technically treat it as you are trying to stretch your child, like, even if he or her goal is not to get into G3 at the end of the day.
Okay, let me add on. So teacher Nicholas, whatever teacher Nicholas said is totally correct because first, you need to know what's your end goal. Do you like, for example, if you enter IP, most likely you are going to JC, right? If you are entering a normal G3 school or no normal non-IP stream school, so you have to ask yourself, do I want my child eventually to go JC? Do I want my child eventually to go poly? So knowing that, for example, if I want my child to go poly and JC, right, most of their subjects have to be in G3. Okay? Because if most of your subject is not in G3, right, the next best available option will be poly foundation program. So if you are okay with that, then that's fine. You can keep it at G2. But if you want your child to have more options to go poly or JC, let them choose themselves, then it is the best to let them push themselves to go G3. In fact, based on our experience right now, it is not difficult. It's not difficult for students to go from G2 to G3. It's not difficult. Some schools that have criteria, like for example, they just need to get 75% or 70%, then you can get promoted to G3. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that's it for my part, I think. Let's see, do I have any more? Yeah, okay. So the science portion is done. So now we move to math.
Okay, hello. I am teacher Nicholas. Okay, so those of you who are new parents, you may not have seen me before because I'm not as senior as teacher Shenming in Blue3. Okay, but I am the head of the secondary school department. Okay, for the math side. Okay, so this portion here is telling you about what is going to happen in the math journey in the next 4 years. Okay, so very similar to what teacher Shenming has shared, I'll be going through about the same pointers but just in the aspect of math. Okay. So these are the four things that we're talking about: the secondary school curriculum, the key differences between primary school and secondary school. Okay, I think that's something that most parents and students will be more interested in. Okay, and then also the key differences between O levels and the IP program. Okay, and then finally, how do we bridge the gap? Okay, or how do we help you bridge the gap? Okay, so for the first one, I think this is the part where most students are concerned because, oh, you keep hearing your seniors tell you, oh, there's this thing called AMAth, EMAth. But of course, that is very later on. Like, that's when you're in Sec 3 and Sec 4. Okay, but today our focus here is really more about the Sec 1. Okay, and you want to see the topics that are being shown in a Sec 1 and a Sec 2 curriculum. Okay, so you realize that there are certain topics that sound very familiar. For example, like those in black color. Okay, you have like your percentage, your rate, ratio, speed, okay, your numbers, your operations, okay, and then you see like volume, surface area. So all these things are kind of like the same thing, okay, but of course a bit more in depth. Okay, and then you will see those that are in blue, okay, which are basically like the newer topics that you won't have seen before. Okay, so of course, if you have older siblings that are already in secondary 1 to secondary 4, then you might have seen them do their questions in as in at home. Okay, so you realize that, oh, in the first year alone, you are learning a lot of topics. Okay, this is 10 this is 10 major categories. But if I were to split it up into the textbook, there's actually 14 topics for you to learn throughout the entire year. So it's quite a lot of content. Okay. And then when you move up to Sec 3 and Sec 4 eventually, you will definitely have to take EMath. Okay, and then you will also have the choice to take AMath. Okay, but the issue is this, more and more schools in the current years, right, they are not really giving that option for AMath to be optional. Okay, a lot of schools are making it compulsory for you to take unless you fail your math badly. Yeah, so that is what the current situation is. And for a lot of schools, right, even if their criteria, is maybe like a 60% overall or 55% overall. Okay, there are some schools which is so long as you pass math, you will take A math. So this is how I would say lenient the schools are. And that's also because AMAP technically opens up a lot of paths for you in the future, like, be it like business, okay, be it like anything that is engineering related, anything that is physics related, math related, or even the arts, you require some sort of math involved in it. Okay, So, okay, I think this part here is what most of you should be interested in, okay, which is what is the key differences between primary school and secondary school math. Okay, so maybe you can take a look at this. Okay, on the left side is what you see in primary school. Okay, the numbers are quite straightforward. Okay, 26 plus, 24 plus 36 divided by 3 times 6. MCQ question. You technically can guess and check, right? You can go and trial and error all your values. But on the right side, where you see in secondary school, there are a lot more symbols. There's powers, there's new brackets, there is square root, okay, and then there is all these weird and random things that you have never seen before. Okay, so in terms of difficulty wise, the topic is the same, the numbers are the same, but you start seeing new operations and new concepts that you may not be so familiar with. Okay. And then volume and surface area, another topic that should be quite interesting for you all. On the left side again is another P5 question. Okay, a very simple question, diagram given to you, drawn nicely. The values are quite nice. Okay, and you probably can use your calculator. Okay, but you don't really have to. But then on the right side, you will see a Sec 2 question. Okay, which is still volume and surface area. Okay, but then it looks a lot different. Okay, you have your cones, you have a cylinder, and then you have a random hemisphere in the middle of the shape. And then you have a four-part question adding up to 8. Okay, so to get that 8 marks, how much more effort do you need to put in? There's a lot more effort as compared to something that is seen in P5. Okay. Okay, another one, which is a very, very big topic in Sec 1 is algebra. So most primary 6 kids should have been exposed to algebra uh, at least in the earlier part of P6. Okay, but the things that you guys have done is quite simple. So you can see those two that is on top, right? Simplify 24 plus 12m minus 8 minus 9m can express something in the simplest form. But what you will see later on is that at the bottom, where you see fractions, okay, you will see brackets, okay, and then you will see a lot more complicated algebraic terms, okay, which will prove to be a challenge for many, many students. Okay, this is something that I also wanted to bring up, and I think as someone that teaches primary school and secondary school, I am quite aware of this. But I know that a lot of primary school teachers don't really care, which is presentation. Okay, so for example, in a lot of schools, the current working is acceptable in the P5, P6 level. So 5 unit arrow, 90, 1 unit arrow, 18. Okay, or 100% arrow, 800, and so on and so forth. But you realize that in secondary school, okay, this way of presenting is wrong. That means you'll be marked wrong. Why? Because this arrow doesn't mean what most of your thing it is lah. It doesn't mean represents. It doesn't mean equals. Okay, it actually means something else, which they will learn when they're in Sec 3. So there's a lot of change in not just the content, the difficulty of the content, but also how you present your answers. Okay, so on the right side, you can see how do we present our answers in secondary school. For example, using algebra, let X be the number of apples, and then you go and solve the algebra. Go and solve the algebra in that question. So a lot of differences in how you present, and we will be very, very strict about how you present your answer. So usually, a lot of students get penalized like 1 mark for each question. Okay, then you lose just like 5, 6 marks just because you didn't present your answer properly. Okay. Okay, the newer trend questions in secondary school is this. Okay, for example, you can see in O levels just last year in an E-math paper, you have questions where they ask you to explain. So right now, what this new syllabus is changing towards, right, is more of, okay, I know you can do the math, okay, but do you really understand what you're doing? Can you explain to me in words, okay, without any math, why is m a perfect square? Okay, or for example, explain why the first year's interest is not 3% of that. So for a typical student that memorizes, that just does your normal 10-year series, oh, I know how to do the math. I know how to use the formula, but do you know how to explain? That's something that a lot of students struggle with, and that's why a lot of students don't really do well when they come up to secondary school. Okay, another one is this real life context questions. Okay, how are they different from what you have seen in primary school? Okay, multiple parts, very high marks, usually the last question of your paper 2. Okay, so a lot of information for you to take in. Okay, for example, if you can take a look, this is from Fuhua Secondary School, Sec 3 end of year paper 2. You realize that this whole question is 7 marks, unguided, 7 marks, and it's unguided. So you have a lot of things to read. Okay, you have a lot of information to process, and then no one is telling you what to do because the instructions given to you is this: verify that the facts made, show your calculations clearly, state any assumptions made. It's basically very open-ended. Okay, and that's a bit scary for the new Sec 3, Sec 2, Sec 1 kids that are going to face this. So in case you're wondering, will you see this in your Sec 1? Yes, you will see at your end of year, usually at the last question for paper. So even the Sec 1 are going through this, which is what a lot of the Sec 1s are struggling with now right now also. Okay. Okay, so this is about your key differences between O levels and IP. Okay, so like what teacher Shan Ming has shared earlier, there's a very big part of project work, okay, and through other creative mediums that they allow them to explore math, science, and all the other subjects. Okay, so it takes really a lot of self-discipline. Okay, so in terms of comparing O levels, IP and IB, okay, very similar to what Teacher Shaming has shared. The content is much more difficult. Okay, the curriculum structure is all over the place. For IP schools, they generally like to bring down tougher topics and higher level content from Sec 3 to Sec 2, Sec 2 to Sec 1. Okay, for IB, IP references, a lot of their notes are all given by their schools. So it will be quite difficult to find one assessment book that is good enough for your kid to use throughout their 4 years. So you realize that a lot of the questions that they have is all curated by their schools, and then the schools just provides that extra work for them. Okay, so it's not very similar to G3 where if you go to Popular, there is like 10 assessment books for you to use that. Okay, which is why it's very easy to find tuition for G3, easy to find assessment books for G3 as well. Okay, so this is the comparison in terms of topics. Okay, there's a lot of information here. Okay, but I try my best to put the same topics in the same row, so it's easier for you to read. Okay, you realize that for the mainstream and the IB, they are almost identical. Okay, they basically teach the same topics almost at the same rate. Okay, but for the IB schools, the questions are a lot easier. Okay, and it's a lot more less in depth. And the marks that they give, maybe a mainstream question could be 3 marks, but IB could give up to 5 marks for the same question. So in terms of how strict they are with their marking, they're not as strict, and there's a lot more marks given. Okay, for the IP, which is the last column, okay, you can see that there are a lot of bolded topics. So bold indicates that the topics are usually learned in Sec 2 for mainstream schools. So you realize that, okay, even though it seems like IP is technically doing the same number of topics as mainstream and IB, but actually it's not. So if I add in things like Pythagoras theorem, the Sec 2 figures, inequalities, algebraic identities, your simultaneous equations, so on and so forth, it is easily about 5 to 6 topics more than the mainstream kids. So the mainstream kids are learning about 13 to 14 topics in 1 year. The IB students are learning 20 topics in 1 year, given the same amount of time as well. Yeah. So in terms of whether you're thinking, oh, does my child fit into mainstream more or IP more? This is something that you have to consider. And whether or not they are disciplined enough to be like, okay, I need to keep on studying to be very, very consistent. Okay, and I'm not sure if one of you realized that IP doesn't really teach percentage, reach, ratio, and speed. Okay, not because they are not going to test it. Okay, it is because they expect the students to know already. Yeah, so they will still test it in the exam. That means they will not spend time going through percentage. They will not spend time going through rates, ratio, speed, and this is something that they basically have no time to relearn it. So in terms of I would say expectations wise, they're expected to be really, really good in their P6 work already, and therefore they're not really going to teach it in school times. Okay, to give you a better idea of how IP and mainstream or G3 is different. Okay, this is the same topic for IP and G3. Okay, and I think it's pretty obvious which one is from the IP stream, okay, and which one is from the G3 stream. Okay, so just bear in mind they are learning this as the first topic. The G3 kids are looking at the left side, okay, and then the IP kids are looking at the right side. Okay, and then you'll be like, oh my God, can I solve this as a parent myself? Okay, I might even struggle, right? Okay, so it is a very, very different expectations. Okay, I expect a 13-year-old to be able to do the one that's on the left side, yet another one to do the one that's on the right side. So this is really a very, very big difference, okay, in terms of expectations. You also have algebra. Okay, so I'm just going through the same theme. Okay, on the left side is your G3 algebra questions, 5 mix question. Okay, very simple two diagrams, not a lot of information. Okay, they split down into two parts and giving you about 5 marks. Then you have one that is on the right side, which is an IP schools paper. Okay, A, I, B, C, D. Okay, this is easily worth about 10 to 12 marks. It's the same level that they're taking it. Okay, but the expectations is very, 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 very different. Okay, but of course, it's not to scare you. Okay, it's just to tell you that if you do choose to put your child in the IP stream, this is what they'll be facing, and you need to ensure that your child is ready to take on such demands of the curriculum, because it's just basically different in nature. Okay, this last part here is basically trying to bridge the gap. Okay, how do we help you bridge the gap, or how do we help your child bridge the gap when they are in secondary school? So what are some of the key challenges that your child is going to face? Okay, first of all, I lump these two together, which is time management and discipline. Okay, why is there a need for that? Because number one, they used to learn four subjects in primary school. Okay, but now they are learning about anywhere from like 8 to 9 to 10 subjects. So if every teacher gives me one piece of homework, I'll have 10. If they give me one every day, that is 50 pieces of homework in 1 week. So it's a lot more than the whole multiply, which is 4. Okay. CCAs, okay, for those of you who will be in sports CCAs or you TSA into a sports CCA, your training is going to be 3 times a week. So do you still have time to study after school? Okay. And then you have new friends, okay, and this is at an age where a lot of them are at a phase where, oh, I want to meet new friends, or I want to spend time with my friends, I want to talk to my friends. It is basically just a change in their lives. And then there's also increased freedom. Why? Because you guys may not be as I would say not being able to really see where they go so much, because they usually end school a lot later, and they will tell you, oh, I need to stay in school to do this and do that. And we technically can't say no, because the school will tell you to. Okay, so how do we resolve this issue for them? Okay, I think there's two main points. Number one is schedule, okay, or having a timetable to know, okay, I need to do certain things at certain time. Okay, the second one is learning about priorities. So as they grow up, okay, then they're gonna kind of like be a bit more sensitive to what is their priority. Okay, for example, a lot of the Sec 3 students are taking on leadership roles when they're in Sec 3, being excos, being the CCA leaders, and then they realize that, oh, I have no time to study. Their results just go from A to C straight away in 3 months. So it's really learning about can I prioritize what is important for me and what are my priorities. Okay, the second one is this grit. I think with a lot more topics and subjects and things going on in their life, uh, a lot of them start to become less patient, and then also less focused in a lot of things. Okay, and right from the get-go, I would say that the best advice that I can give you guys is you need to have this good attitude and mindset that secondary school is not a race. Okay, it is not a 1 year. Okay, I come for the first 1 year and then I'm done. No, you have 4 years. You need to make sure that you don't burn out at any point of these 4 years. Yeah, and that's something that a lot of students fail to realize, or they realize a bit later. They start at the end of Sec 3, which is honestly speaking, not that it's too late, but you need to spend a lot more effort trying to get back to where you are supposed to be. Like. So this year I have a lot of Sec 4 students, and I ask them, what is something that you will tell yourself if I let you go back to 4 years ago when you first started? A lot of them, so I quote their language now, or I should have locked in a lot earlier. Okay, so for those parents who don't know what locked in means, it basically just means I should have started earlier. Lah. Okay, so a lot of them recognize that only when they're in Sec 4. So that is something that a lot of Sec 1 needs to understand that they will regret not starting earlier. Okay, the last one is this memorizing and not understanding. I think a lot of students have this mindset, oh, I been through PSLE like that. I just practice and practice and practice. Actually, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing it. Oh, I see the same word. I use the same technique. But actually, do you really understand what is going on? Or are you basically just memorizing the content, for example, for math, constant difference, constant total, unchanged quantity, all these kind of things? Do you really know what that means? Or is it just because your teacher say, oh, you see that word, then you write use ratio. So I think that is something that the kids needs to deal with. Yeah, and also with the new subjects like history, geography, literature, or your sciences, is a very, very different ballgame that they're gonna experience when they are in this phase of their life. Okay. Okay, so this one, if your child is going to be in the IP program, okay, then the book on the right side is the most standard and the most common IP book that most IP students use. But is this book enough? I have this book, I have the Sec 2 book also. It is not enough for the IP students. They have way more things uh, outside of this book. Okay, but it serves as a foundation and a base lah. Okay, for mainstream students or G3 students, honestly speaking, anything that you find popular is good enough. Okay, or even the textbook itself, to be honest, the textbook itself is really, really good because there are a lot of students don't really understand that. Okay, the textbook itself is really, really good enough. Okay. Okay, so from our end, how do we help? Okay, or how can we help? Okay, basically we have our regular lessons. We also have our courses, our webinars. We have our monthly live teaching. So I'm not sure if any one of you have seen us on TikTok, okay, and also IG. Okay, and then we also post questions, we post reels about content and things like that. Okay, but for our regular lessons, we have our weekly materials, which is our topical booklets. Okay, which I will show you some of them later on. We also have topical revisions, which is basically revisions packages for specific topics. We also have mock tests for your end of year and then also for your WAs. Okay, so how do we make sure that our notes are good enough to help the students? Okay, a lot of schools when they go through certain topics, right, they don't really uh go through in depth. They just say, oh, this is how you do a very simple question. Then the next question I throw to you is something that is very, very, very out of this world. Okay, so what you make sure is we want to ensure that our notes at Blue3 Academy is good enough that don't really need to rely on what their school have. Okay, so we make sure that we explain sorry, we have a lot of explanation to the kids as to why is this that and why is this like this. So, for example, if you can see the one that's on the left side, we are basically showing them fractions in primary school, okay, fractions in Sec 1 and fractions in Sec 2. How are they different? Okay, with the addition of your X or your variables or your Y. Okay, so this is things that we do in our notes to make sure that the kids really really understand what they're doing. So it's really like step by step guiding them to understanding their content. Okay. Then also you have your Sec 2, okay, which is something as in we also try to make it a bit more colorful because the kids are kind of like bored with if everything is black and white. Okay, so these are some of the things that we have been doing for the whole of the last year. Okay. Okay, we are very near the end of the presentation. Okay, I just wanted to take this opportunity to share with you all what is going to be upcoming. Okay, in 1 week's time. Okay, which is 19 October. Okay, we are having a Blue3 Academy open house. Okay, this is a bit more targeted to the P6 going on to Sec 1. Okay, during the I see some questions, I think. Oh, sorry. Can you guys hear me? Sorry, I just realized that someone mentioned that my mic is a bit. Oh, is it okay? Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay, thank you for pointing out. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we'll be having this event next week. Okay, the timing is from 10 to 1. It'll be held at level 6 as to where SSC is. So there is this event space that is directly above our center. Okay, you can scan this QR code. Okay, you can go and sign up. Okay, so our max capacity, if I'm not wrong, is about 120 students, right? Right now we have about was it 100 or some 105 or something. Okay, so actually the slots left are quite little. Okay, so if you are interested to bring your child down, okay, feel free to just sign up. Okay, but of course there are limited slots and it's gonna run out soon. So we'll be closing the sign up date on 12th of October, which is in 2 days' time. So if you are interested to come down and spend some time with us, okay, and then as in we will show you what we do, and then there's also lucky draws, there's also attractive sign up bonuses. Okay. Okay. If you guys need later on, I'll come back to this slide and you can go and scan the QR code afterwards. Okay. So I know some of you will be like, oh, so what's so good? Or maybe you might have some interest, but you're not really sure which teacher is for you. Okay, we will also be having our 4 weeks head start program from running from the 28th October to the 24th November. Okay, so it's basically a head start from P6 to Sec 1. We will teach you snippets of what we're going to do in Sec 1, okay, to give you a rough idea as to what will you experience. Okay, and I can tell you very honestly, most of the kids that come for the Head Start, they realize, WA1, why is it so easy? They usually get very, very high because they learn it once, they learn it twice again in the actual program, they learn it three times or the third time when they're in school. So by the time when they get to their WA1, they are very confident. Oh, I can confirm A1. Come on, 27 out of 30 or like 24 out of 25. So it's basically just a lot of chances for them to learn the same thing over and over again. Okay, so on the right side, these are the sign-up bonuses, okay, or the promotions that you can see. Okay, so there is one for existing Blue3 students from now all the way until 19th, which is our open house day. Okay, and then there is also one that is after the open house day, so which is from 20th October all the way until 15th December. Okay, but of course, there's no need there's no rush for you to go and sign up right now. You can always come next Saturday and see what we have to offer first. Then you can make your decision on the day itself. Okay. Okay. And with that, we come to the end of our presentation. Okay, and thank you for spending your time with us. Okay, we will be opening up the Q&A section. Okay, or maybe I can just put this thing here and then we will open up for Q&A. So if any one of you have any questions to ask us, feel free to let us know right now. Yeah. Okay, I have a question from Eugene. Okay. And then it says, for math, if a question is worth many marks, does that mean that the paper will have less questions but also covering all topics? Does that mean that the paper will have less questions? Yes. So, if you are talking about maybe at the lower sec, for the end of year papers, usually it will be two papers, 50-50 marks. For the first paper, it will be about 16 to 18 questions. So they are like kind of like short answer questions, anywhere from ranging from 1 to 4 marks. So you have about 16 to 18 of them. The paper is out of 50. For paper two, that's where the longer questions are. You might have 5 questions, each averaging about 8 to 12 marks. Yes, so paper one and paper two is basically different in format, right? But they are testing the same topics, and but it's just in a different way. Why is that so? Because eventually, when they take their E-math paper at Sec 4 O levels, paper one is the short answer questions, 26 questions, 90 marks. Then you have the second paper, which is about 9 or 10 questions, also 90 minutes. Yeah. So correct, less questions, but also covering all the topics. Okay, I hope that answered your questions. Yeah. Okay, what is the tuition fee for one subject? There is another person that asked. Okay, the tuition fees, so we have two sets of fees. One is for the peak periods, which is on Saturdays, because that's where most of the demand, our very high demand classes are. Okay, and then we also have the regular rates for those non-peak, which is basically just not Saturday. Yeah. For one term, which is about 12 lessons, if my number is correct, is about wait, okay. Shimi, do you have the actual numbers? I know for the weekend fees is like 1,100 something, if I'm not wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, it's around 1,100 with
That's
including
for the
GST.
yeah, that's including GST. That's for the weekend rates. Is it?
Yes, that's for the weekend rates.
Yeah, that's for the weekend rate. Then the weekday rates will be slightly cheaper. It'll be 10 something if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 10 something. So that's for 12 lessons worth. So on average, if you're asking how much is that per hour, for a regular non-weekend class, it'll be about $46, 33 cents per hour. And then for the weekend, it'll be $49.03. Yeah. And if you are asking how is this compared to the outside price of, let's say, I go and hire a private tutor. A private tutor, regular normal private tutor was about 60 per hour. Okay, and then if you're hiring an MOE tutor, it could be like 80 to $85 per hour. So that is almost like times two the rates of what we have. Hmm.
Okay, we have a question here. So are all G3 in the schools, are they all the same or are they different? Okay, so to answer this question, right, in general, from what we have observed so far, right, for G3 syllabus in general, I would say 80% of the schools follow a standardized G3 syllabus structure. But there are some G3 schools who they try to change the order of some of the topics. But what we notice is also within the first 2 years for G3, right? The topics in general, they are all the same. Okay, but they do sometimes, some schools they change one topic, like maybe topic one they move to topic five, then topic five they move to topic one. Yeah, but most of the schools that we have seen, around 75% to 80% of them, they all follow the same order. Yeah. Then
For
correct, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe I add on for math side. A lot of the differences will come in later on when you are in Sec 3. So that is where a lot of schools will start to majorly shuffle a lot of the topics. For example, for math, it could be like, oh, I teach these three topics first, then I teach the next three. But another school could be this three, then the next three. So it's like totally flipped. But for Sec 1, if a child is in Sec 1, generally, for the first term, minimally, the topics will not change much. It will be about the same topics for the first five topics. Then maybe from the sixth to the eighth topic, there'll be some shuffles. Some schools will be a bit faster, some schools will be a bit slower. And that's why there is this like sense of like, why is every school different? But it's just because the pacing is different and sometimes they switch certain topics. As to why is that so, I think basically some HODs in the school just feel, oh, it's better to teach this topic first. So they are used to that and therefore they teach it in that way. Yeah, but generally, if our students do follow us from term one all the way until term four, generally we should be covering the topics way ahead of their schools. So that means they already learned it before. So no matter what order the school is going to, they have seen the topic before or they have learned it with us before already lah.
Okay, there's one interesting question by Eugene. So, in school, do the students need iPad? Okay, the answer is it depends on the school. Okay, different school, their personal learning device is different. Some of them are using iPad, some of them they're using Samsung tablet. Uh, Depends on the school. Okay, but what you will notice is really a lot of lessons will be conducted with the students using their iPads. Okay, so you'll be there will be a lot of things like Google Classroom where the students need to use the iPad to access the notes and stuff like that. So they do frequently need to use their personal learning device. You do not need to get any device for them prior right now because the school will get it for them.
Mm. Yeah, so for some of my Sec 3 students or some of Sec 2 students, they are quite aware that, oh, actually there's so much things to learn, right? Rather than carrying like five textbooks, they just ask their schools for the soft copy of their textbook and then they just put it into the iPad. So they just bring the iPad to school. And then they write down all their notes there, they answer all their questions there. I mean, it's technically more, I mean, it's more environmentally friendly also, lah. And you don't have to really carry so many things to school. But also, there's a downside to it because what if your iPad is spoiled and you didn't back up? That's another issue. And also, there are certain students who get distracted with the iPad. So, do we need the iPad? I don't think it's a requirement. Okay, it really depends on is your child going to use it for the right purposes, lah.
Okay, to add on, right, what I noticed is that a lot of times, students, I realize they actually learn better when they physically write down notes. But many times, right, when they have the iPad, what the students tell me is that when the teacher is teaching, they will just scroll through the iPad without doing much annotation, without doing much highlighting. So they think that, oh, they just by reading, they understand. So it doesn't really help with memory much because they don't have a lot of note-taking opportunities. Yeah. So that's one of the issue. And there's another thing on the side I want to stress, which is parents, right? Please, when deciding schools for your child in Sec 1, right, please do consider the traveling time. Okay, I think this one is really quite important because I do have quite a lot of students when I learn that they have to travel 1 hour to the school and then another 1 hour back home, I honestly I pity them lah. Like they have to do this for the next 4 to 6 years. Every day, 2 hours of traveling time. Yeah. I mean, all these times can be put to better use. So, I mean, I know a lot of times you all are always trying to give the best to them. They want them to be in the best school and stuff like that. But sometimes really do also put time into consideration as well, the traveling time. Okay?
Okay, just now I saw someone raising the hand. I'm not sure if you have a question. Uh, you could either type it into the Q&A section. If not, you can type into the chat. Yeah, we will answer from both of that side. Uh, You can feel free to keep your questions coming. Okay, we will answer any questions. Okay, if you guys have any. Mm. Okay, and also maybe to share a bit about the G2 to G3 promotion timings and the standards. Based on my understanding for the math side, there is usually two times where they get to promote from G2 to G3. So one is after their second WA. Most schools will require their students to get an average of 75% and above. Then they will get them to promote to G3 halfway through the year. The second time that they get to promote, okay, in Sec 1 is at the end of the year. But if you think about it, because at the end of the year, you have 14 topics to study for, what are the odds of you getting a better grade at that point versus doing well in WA2 and WA1? So I think generally it is easier for your child to progress up to G3 by the half year mark. And it's also a better thing because technically they miss out on less things. So they have half a year to go and catch up on some of the things that they have missed out in G3 lah. Okay, and then the next time that they get to promote will be from Sec 2 to Sec 3. Whether am I taking G2 math, and if I do well enough, I can then become a G3 math student when they're in Sec 3. So these are the general timings that they can promote. And usually the cutoff is at an A level, which is like 70-75%. So that is something to think note of also.
Okay, if there's no question, I think we are actually quite done. We are okay, we are finished now. We are done. Okay. Those parents who want to private message us, you can drop us a message on our Instagram or even TikTok. Okay, we can also answer you from there. Right? Oh, there's a question. Yeah.
There's a question.
Okay.
Okay, is yeah. Okay, you can answer that.
Okay, so for the Head Start program, right, you'll be physical. So in the event that the student cannot make it, there will be recordings provided. But in general, the reason why we have to do physical is because, at least for science, we have a lot of experiments. Like for example, out of the 4 Head Start lessons, right, there's a total of around 7 activities, 7 hands-on activity across the span of the 4 classes. So hands-on activity in general really require them to do it hands-on lah. So they can't really experience it firsthand if they're
Yeah.
doing it online. Yeah.
Yeah, so same thing for the math side, we will have an activity for each of the topics that you're going to learn. And usually these activities is like competition between two groups of students. So if they participated through the Zoom lesson, then it's very hard for them to have that experiential learning in class also. So we generally like to encourage physical class because we believe that physical classes definitely the way to go lah. Because even as adults, sometimes when we are on Zoom lesson, we don't really focus. Yeah. So if us as adults cannot focus, then the child wouldn't be able to focus for the 2 hours. Mm. Okay, we have
Mm.
another question, which is how big is the class size? It really depends on the slot. So if you are concerned about class size, generally the weekend classes are bigger. So when I say bigger, for math side, we try to cap it at 12 students. That is the max that we go. That is for normal teachers that are not HOD level. So 12 is usually the maximum. And I would say that that is usually classes where you see on a Saturday. Yeah, maybe usually you see like 9, 10, 11, 12. But usually on the weekday, it's not as big because not a lot of students can make it for classes. So it can range anywhere from like maybe like 3 students to I know my it's one of the biggest class sizes I have for weekdays about 8 students. So anywhere about there. But usually it won't go up to 8 lah because most students have CCAs, they cannot make it for the times. Mm.
To summarize, right, I think weekdays wise, most of our classes size is around 5 packs, average 5 packs. Then for me and teacher Nick, because we HODs, our class a bit more popular, especially on Saturdays, our class can go up to more than 10. Yeah, so just keep that in mind. Like for example, my I have a Saturday class that have around 17 people lah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think why you're asking this question is because you are concerned, right? If the class is too big, then will the child get enough attention? So it really depends on the abilities of the teacher, which is why only for HODs we will open up class sizes that is bigger than 12. Yeah, of course, we will not squeeze until like 40 lah, then there's no point, right? Then it's myself, it's a MOE class. So we will definitely still have a cap, just that we'll make sure that we will run the class at a certain number that we are confident enough to make sure that everybody gets the same amount of attention and help lah. Because we definitely don't want to compromise the quality for the number of students in the class. So if we feel that 15 is my maximum, or let's say I feel that for A math class, 15 is the cap, I will not increase the class anymore. Yeah, if let's say I feel that for Sec 1 class 15 is the cap, then I will not go on anymore that lah. So because we will never prioritize numbers over the quality of the classes. Mm.
I think more importantly, because now that PSLE is over, if let's say if you are not going overseas, in general, your child should be quite free lah. So maybe trying our Head Start program can be one good method to maybe to kill some time during the holidays. Yeah, let them make some new friends, maybe learn some new skills just to get a glimpse of how secondary school science and secondary school math is like. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, this might be a question that some parents will ask. Because over here we have the sign up promo, right? Then some parents will be concerned, but I don't know what school my son will be in. I don't know what's my child's schedule. But therefore I don't dare to sign up right now. Okay. One thing from our side, what we can promise you is this. If you have signed up with us, we will do our best to ensure that our classes can try to fit to your schedule and your schedule is available such that you can attend our classes. In the event that we really cannot cater to your child's schedule, then we can even do a full refund. Yeah. So if that's your concern, yeah, full refund is possible only in the event whereby we really cannot cater to your schedule. Yeah. So if let's say if let's say that is not a concern to you, then you can make use of the promos that we have right now, because right now if you sign up, you can get a AirPod or even iPad, and you can get a monetary off as well. Yeah.
Okay, there is another question. May I know where the Head Start program will be held? So it will be held at four main locations, which is SSC branch, which is the Singapore Shopping Centre branch, which is at Dhoby Ghaut. That's the closest MRT. Coronation Plaza, which is near Bukit Timah, Tan Kaki or Botanic Gardens. Then you have one that is at Seletar Mall. I don't really stay there, but if I'm not wrong, it is one of the Sengkang site, is it? There is Fernvale LRT, I think
Yes.
that is. Yeah. Then there's one that's at Tampines, the CPF building. Yeah, so that's for the Easties, yeah.
Oh, we
So
have a new location as well, Woolay.
Woodley Mall.
Mm.
But that one Sec 1 hits, I'm not sure if they will have it there. Like is there any classes there? So it's still the four main branches lah. Yeah. How do we find out the schedule for the Head Start program? It- Yeah, yeah.
This QR code. So you all can scan this QR code. Okay. Once you scan this QR code, you'll be brought to a page.
Yeah, there's a page, and then so if you go to the page, right, there is basically a Head Start program. So there's Sec 1 Math 2024, but there's also a Sec 1 Math Head Start. So look for the one that has the Head Start icon, okay, and then uh they will tell you to pick a center, okay, to pick a time slot, and then there will be the teacher's name there, and then there will be the location there, there'll be the timings there. Okay, but do take note that majority of these classes, the time slot that we have for Head Start program should be the same timing for next year's Sec 1 schedule. So, for example, if you are generally free on a Saturday, and let's say 2 to 4 works for you, and then you also want that particular teacher, then you should go for that the slot. Lah. But of course, if you're like, hey, I just want to go and try out every single teacher, also can. Just that then that there won't be that continuity. But of course, if you like a 2 to 4 o'clock Saturday slot at a particular location, then you can go for that slot. Uh, will there be more Sec 1 slots opening for next year's? Actually, yes, there will be because currently our teachers still have their current batch of students, so we are unable to open like 15 slots for everybody to come. So we will only have limited slots. Okay, and then so there'll be there'll be a resetted schedule, which is basically what's going to happen on the actual next year, okay, versus the Head Start one. So the ones that you are looking at right now is only for the Head Start, okay, but they should follow, and there should be much more slots than this lah. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Cheryl. Yes. There's a parent that raised a hand, but you didn't, but you put your hand down. Is there a question that you want to ask? Okay, so if you guys need help, right? Okay, you definitely can go to our IG, okay, if not our TikTok, okay, and you can go and text them, or you can even text into the admin lines and ask them for help, lah. Okay, if this QR code thing is not working out for you. Hmm.